I was at my house over the summer, and I was looking through boxes, and I found a bunch of old records, and I realized, I'm like, what is this? It was like finding an artifact.
There's no other format that has had such a large footprint in recorded music history.
I liked vinyl because it was a physical copy. I liked vinyl because it was just an experience that was unique.
I remember the feeling of going through and digging, trying to find that hidden tune. It was pretty amazing.
I've always believed in record stores, and I spent a lot of time in them growing up. And people have always said to us it's such a crazy idea to do this, but I've never found it to be really a huge risk because people always love music, and certainly even when stuff was going digital, I was very drawn to going to record stores still, and I know there were a lot of people like me.
The whole atmosphere of a record store and like talking to people about records, you know, who happen to be there who you don't know, and I've ended up meeting friends.
Point me to the owner, the guy who put everything that he owns into this for a reason. And that guy will turn you on to some music that you've never heard before that will blow your mind. Stuff that you've been waiting to hear your whole life and you just didn't know it yet. You know, so that's the coolest thing about going to different record stores and digging, finding new places, is talking to the owners, because they're the guys, they're the encyclopedias, the knowledgeable ones.
Like there have been times where I'm just like, I'm looking for something along the lines of like, you know, hard bop jazz, and they'll be like, oh, we have this, we have this, we have this, and then it's just like, oh, if you want to get into this sort of like genre or this sort of like branch of music, then you go with this. And so yeah, like there's more of a chance of finding what you like at a independent record store, and if you go to HMV, it's very, very limited.
And we just feel lucky. Every single day we feel lucky that we can have the opportunity to work this hard. It's like a privilege to be able to work hard, to have a shot at doing something you really love. And every day we just have to remind ourselves of that and just keep going and keep going.
There's a Supertramp record that I have, which is really...
Which one?
Which one, yeah. Crisis? What Crisis?
The first like memorable experience that I can think of, first and foremost, is when my dad started like bringing all of his vinyl records up from the basement. It was around when I was like 5, 6 years old, and we got a new sound system, and it went from like to CDs, and they were kind of slow with it. So my parents were just like, oh, we have to get new CDs and everything. But my dad's just like, let's just have a little bit of nostalgia going right now. And so he took out his copy of Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd, and he had these 2 massive speakers. They were massive like at the time, because I was like 6 years old. My dad's just like, okay, go in the middle of these speakers and just like listen to the whole like sound of it. And then the needle went on the wax, and I was just like in awe of how great like the sound quality was, and just like how amazing the whole experience was.
That was the very first time. It was almost like a religious experience for me.
Not only am I hearing it now I'm filling the room with sound, and I can actually feel the bass in my chest. You know, I can feel the room vibrate with sound.
I get to come home and hold it. It's like you have a physical copy of this artist. Like, it's like a piece of art. People go and they buy. It's like, would you like to own a print or an original? Print in this case would be a CD. There's millions of CDs made for these artists, but sometimes you go into a record store and you just find like that one record. There's one there, and you come and you're just like, fuck yes, like I have this record. Or on record store day, they'll only release we're only releasing 10 of these in Toronto, and there'll be no more made. And it's like you get to come home and you're like, I have it. I have the physical copy. I can smell the record. I mean, it's probably cancer I'm smelling, but I can smell everything in it. Like, you take it out, and the vinyl note, you look at the liner notes, and you read some. And I've started reading. That's why I never did before. I just started recently this year reading the special thanks.
And it's like when you see an old photograph, or like when you open an old book, you know, it just there's like just this like warm authenticness to it, And you know, it's different than getting an ebook on like, you know, your Kindle. It's just different.
It's almost like vinyls brought me back into the music scene where I pay more attention and I have more respect for it.
Vinyl is still alive. Why is it still alive? Who's keeping it alive? It's changed to the point where it's mostly music fans, people that are into album rock, mostly. They would record an album that was meant to be listened to from beginning to end, in that order. It was no longer about the song itself, the single, it was about the entire album.
Generally, if it's been a process of analog all along, which means to say like physical sound played from a physical instrument, put through a physical medium, put on a tape from excellent microphones, put through a good soundboard, put and pressed to lacquer, and then pressed to vinyl. Then that kind of ensures that you're not missing any sound along the way.
You can get away with more in terms of volume without distortion. In digital, if you try to turn it up too loud, you get this digital distortion that just destroys the whole sound. So you have to keep it within a parameter, within a volume parameter, because as soon as you exceed that, you've ruined the whole recording.
Once you record from digital and put on a record, it's kind of nullifies the whole experience. You just rather get it on a CD or something like that. Or you could hear it on a WAV file or MP3. I actually don't mind the sound of WAVs or MP3s, but compared to a record that's mastered well, that's recorded well, there's a pretty big difference.
My dad used to have a really big vinyl collection, like I'm talking like 3 times bigger than mine. And he had so many good records, and he used to live in this basement apartment in Toronto. And one day he came back home from work and his apartment was flooded. And his landlord didn't call him right away and say like, hey, you have all of your stuff is all soaked, because there's a flood. She just told him like as soon as he walked in the door, oh yeah, sorry, your apartment's been flooded. And then he literally had like 15 minutes to like grab all of the vinyl that he could, and he only has like a few left. All of them were like, warped as a result. So yeah, he keeps telling me like, oh, I had this on vinyl, I had that on vinyl, oh, it would have been so great, so.
There it is right there. Let's try it again. Yeah, but I don't care if it's been
Shindig is an all-vinyl vintage R&B party, mostly R&B. That's the singles era. We play singles from the singles era, and that's basically what the party is.
He started it trying to create a new party that wasn't on the market before, playing oldies like R&B, rock, soul, rhythm and blues, jump blues, that kind of stuff.
But at the end of the day, like, vinyl will be here to stay. Whether it's just like purely collectors items or purely, for the music, it's still going to be here. It's still going to be an aspect of many music lovers' lives. I don't see it ever slowing down in terms of, it'll never like purely die out. I think it will still keep on going.